Things could not be going any worse for Donald Trump, but his worst nightmare is actually still yet to come true. And that is Democrats fully uniting behind a message of how Donald Trump is raising costs while breaking promises, how planes are falling out of the sky and grocery prices skyrocket. And one of the best Democrats at delivering that message is Governor Tim Walz, who just eviscerated Donald Trump on the issue that is costing him most in his approval rating, and Trump, as you would expect, is furious and melting down over it all. We are going to get into it, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's get into this interview with Governor Tim Walz.
Yeah, look, Donald Trump's a showman. This is a dog and pony show tonight. He's not going to lay out anything that improves the lives of Minnesotans, but he fills the space. And I think the thing I learned is we have to go into every space, because what was clear is not enough Americans believe that we as Democrats, or Vice President Harris and myself, were on their side, and we are. Our policies are popular, but that didn't resonate. And he's going to come out there tonight, and he's going to get cheers from a bunch of lapdogs that'll kiss his boots. The same people who won't go see their constituents, because what they know is firing veterans from the VA, not a good idea. Putting tariffs on farmers, not a good idea. Cutting the folks who are trying to reduce the risk of a highly pathogenic avian influenza, not a good idea. And so I think the thing I learned is we need to be in every space, everywhere. Saturday night, I was up in Helena, Montana. Look, we have got to take that message, because we have got to believe ourselves that our message is about improving the lives of middle-class folks. Donald Trump cannot and will not do that. So I expect, it'll just be nonsense. It's bread and circuses tonight. We need to be out there giving real examples of real things that improve lives.
Appreciate that, and shout out to Montana. I've been out there hiking. Great trails, great people. When you look at what we're seeing now, you have the world's richest person, a multi-billionaire many times over, being cheered on by workers and some working-class people on the center right and in MAGA, while, as you just referenced, he fires people and takes away jobs. Where does that response fit in for your party tonight?
Yeah, well, it troubles me. I made the case on this, that I come out of the working class, and I thought it was a flex that I was the least wealthy person to ever run for vice president, and they side with the guy who wants to cut your mom's Social Security benefits. This goes back to our job is our policies are popular. Social Security is popular. Paid family and medical leave is popular. The Consumer Protection Financial Bureau that Senator Warren talked about is popular, so you don't get ripped off. Why are they siding with this guy that is blatantly trying to get himself involved in this, a guy who's lived on government contracts, someone who's given no service to this country, only to himself? We have got to get back to earning the trust, and I think it starts with going in and talking to these folks. Go wherever you can, but then making sure when we have the power to do something, pass some damn laws to improve people's lives. Don't worry about the next election. If we can pass it all the first year, I said that as governor. If I can get everything passed, why would I come back again? You can get it done. And I think we have made a mistake on that. And I just have to tell you, Ari, I disagree with this idea that, look, Republicans are digging a hole. Democrats should back off and just let them dig. That's what we've done, and we've ceded space to them. I say jump in the hole and help them dig, because I'll tell people, I want to go out to these districts and tell them this is what your member of Congress is voting for. They are undermining you. Bernie Sanders is right. Quit trying to talk about Social Security other than just lift the cap and let everybody pay what they should. That fixes it. It's simple. The idea that Elon Musk doesn't pay any more than a teacher is simply outrageous. How can it be that Donald Trump pays less taxes than folks who are working at schools or hospitals? And we as Democrats need to be more aggressive about it, because tonight will be nothing but reality TV, because that's what this is to this guy. I was on a farm this afternoon. I don't know how many of those farmers voted for me. Probably not many. That's the way it goes. But they agreed with me on this. This is stupid. Donald Trump negotiated a trade deal. Now he's trying to go back on it with our trusted allies. And I don't blame Canada for this, but I'm nervous about it. When the Premier of Ontario says that they're going to cut off electricity to us, that's a problem. Do I hear Donald Trump saying a damn thing? No. Do I hear him say anything about the wildfires down in South Carolina? No. When we have these things, he just wants to attack California or attack his political opponents. This is not leadership. The American people know it, and those folks in that room, I can see it in their eyes. They are terrified to go back and talk to their constituents. It took them 6 weeks to screw the economy up.
Governor Walz, it's Jen Psaki. You seem to have a lot on your mind, and you're fired up, as per usual. You also said today on X or Twitter or whatever the heck we're calling it, that you may, when you talked about how the NRCC chair said that Republicans should not go out and hold town halls. And you said, hell, maybe I will. If you congressman refuses to meet, I'll come host an event in their district to help local Democrats beat them. What does that look like? Are you really going to do that? And has anyone reached out and taken you up on that?
Well, if they want me to, I tell them, if it helps you in your district to have me, I'll do it. If it helps you to act like you don't know me, do that too. I just care that we elect people who care about their constituents. And I'll tell you, Jen, I lived through the town halls of 2010, the ACA town halls, and those started out as organic. I know they got fueled, but Mike Johnson saying, oh, these are just paid folks. Those are not paid folks. I've lived through this. And I have to tell you, Donald Trump was the recipient of that Tea Party rage that started with those town halls, and it motivated people. I see Americans begging to there's not going to be a charismatic leader in our party come in and sweep in. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is we should be giving the platform for the citizens who are doing this work themselves. When I watch a senator from Kansas walk out of a room after a veteran stood up and asked why they were firing veterans, and then go back and say, well, I know these guys are from the cities driving Mercedes. I'll guarantee you that guy's not driving a Mercedes. And I think what I'm mentioning is we in the Democratic Party, we've got our leaders out there. They're our voters. They're the middle-class folks. And to be honest with you, I hope it's a lot of those millions of people who I didn't inspire enough to go vote. Those are the folks we needed. I don't believe maybe I'll change a lot of Donald Trump's folks, but they're seeing the results of this too. But what I'm saying is Democrats need to be present. We need to be in every space. We need to hear when these folks are expressing those opinions, and then we need to deliver results so it improves their life. This gentleman was just saying, I don't think this is fair that you're firing veterans for without reason. They served. What do you have to respond? And a United States senator got up and walked out. That is just outrageous. I stood there and took my beating. I still do that when I'm in the public and people holler at me. That's part of our democracy. And you don't get to just go in there and cheer Donald Trump tonight. You go listen to your constituents. So I'll go where they ask me.
Governor Walz really just hitting on all the most important issues there. The mass firing of veterans, the empathy that Donald Trump lacks in every action of his administration, the tariffs that are absolutely wrecking the economy he promised to fix, even though it was booming under Biden and Harris. And now we're seeing the prediction of a recession under Donald Trump. And he even has started to recognize this. Well, Donald Trump says he's not looking at the stock market. I'm sure he is acutely aware of how unpopular his economic actions have been, which is the thing that voters said they were going to trust him on most. And that is why it is hurting him so much. And we heard him respond to all of the questions around his very questionable tariffs in this clip right here.
On the auto tariffs that you were talking about, I know yesterday you spoke with the big three. Did you tell them that no more exemptions were on the way, and what was the reaction?
I told them, that's it. This was a short-term deal. And they came back to me yesterday. They said, could we have some help on the tariffs because of the speed? And I said, look, I'm going to do it, but that's it. Don't come back to me after the April 2nd.
So there it is. Donald Trump bending the knee to Canada, bending the knee to Mexico, pulling back on his tariffs because he knows how disastrous they have been and how unpopular they are. But the problem for Trump, something I continuously mention on this show, is that the damage of the tariffs isn't done when they go into effect. It is done when people think they are going into effect, when companies think they are going into effect. Walmart, even before Donald Trump was inaugurated, started to raise its prices, predicting the effects of tariffs. We've seen the same thing from Target as well. And as was the case during the post-pandemic economy, companies are using these tariffs as a justification to not just raise their prices, but then keep them there. Sure, after bird flu goes away, if it ever does, I'm not sure what RFK Jr. is doing to address that, egg prices will start to go down. But other goods that have been raised in their costs because of these tariffs won't. These companies have gotten us to pay these prices. They're making more money. They thrive on their greed. It's the only thing driving any of this. Why would they lower them? They didn't when supply chains were fixed. Why would they when tariffs go away? So this economic pressure, this insecurity felt by consumers that is already being reflected in their sentiment in polls will stay. Donald Trump has effectively screwed himself no matter what he does. And he's also screwing over people who voted for him in huge numbers, mainly veterans, who are furious with the way that he has acted. And we see some of that right here.
Vets like James Diaz. James is an Army veteran who served during the first Gulf War. He voted for President Trump 3 times. He was fired last month from his job as a fuel compliance officer with the IRS at one of their field offices in Illinois. His termination letter implied that his job performance was a factor, but Diaz disputes this claim, saying all his performance reviews were positive. Diaz will be attending Trump's speech before Congress tomorrow night as a guest of his congressman, Illinois Democratic Representative Eric Sorensen. And he joins us now. Mr. Diaz, thank you for joining us today, James. You say you were treated like garbage. Walk us through what happened to you last month.
On the 20th of February, I received a phone call from my supervisor and then a email shortly thereafter about how I was going to be terminated. And it basically cited my performance issues.
But you provided us with a performance review, and it said you were a good worker with a good knowledge of tax law. So why would they cite that as an issue?
I think it was just basically a cookie cutter email to send out. I don't think they thought it through very well at all. And I think I'm a perfect example of why they didn't think it through.
How did that make you feel when you realized that?
It didn't make me feel very good. I mean, I put myself in harm's way, for the country. I took a pretty good pay cut to come to work for the government. And next thing you know, 8 months later, I was basically feel like I'm not good enough now I know better than that, but that's just how it seems to feel.
Now, after Donald Trump called our men and women in uniform suckers and losers, was clear in opposing the PACT Act. I don't know, any numerous examples saying that he'd sick the military on his enemies, the enemies from within. I don't know how any veteran could support this guy, but I guess this person did. Hopefully they understand at this point, and it seems like they do, that this is the most anti-veteran administration in history. Plain and simple. That is what we're seeing. That is what we have to talk about. And it is important, of course, to call it out, but we also have to offer up an alternative. And there were already so many accomplishments for veterans under the Biden-Harris administration that we should be leaning on those successes and talk about the plan we have outlined for when Democrats return to power to support our veterans. This is the moment for talking about it. This is the moment for calling it out. It's what we're doing every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.